her pitches. She can mix speeds throughout the at-bat, but the command that she had with her changeup is what set her apart in Game 1 against Georgia.
First pitch, strike one to Dallas Goodnights, leading things off. 11th in the SEC in hitting, and she set the tone yesterday in that Georgia win.
She's somebody that typically throughout her career has been more known as a slapper, but this year has really taken hold of swinging away, and she's got a really good bat up there to lead off this Georgia Bulldogs lineup. But she'll also drop down that sneaky bunt. So as a defense, you have to be prepared for the triple threat lefty that Dallas Goodnight is. She can lay down a bunt, she can go to the slap, or she can swing away with a little bit of pop. So you're seeing this infield for Mississippi State have to play pretty shallow with her up to the plate.
No bunt here, down on the count 0-2 against Wesley. Goodnight 4 for 7 in the series with 3 runs scored, 3 hits yesterday. She's got really good speed, hitting a team best 362 on the season. The 1-2. Off speed, strikeout number 1 for Wesley.
This is the example of the changeup or the off-speed pitch that you're going to see out of the hand of Aspen Wesley. Typically, changeups are going to drop down in the zone, but she's got this late up bite almost to this pitch, almost like a floating rise ball up in the zone. But because of that spin out of her hand, it looks like a higher velocity pitch, and that's why Georgia continues to be out in front on it.
Wesley had 8 strikeouts on Friday night, and Aspen just lost her footing, and all the eyes are upon you, and she knows it. A little embarrassed.
She's having a good laugh about it. Sometimes things don't exactly go the way that you draw them up. I'm wondering if her cleat maybe got stuck in it just completely slipped off of the rubber. Not much you can do about it.
Everyone needs a friend like Nadia Barbary, who came over from third base, was right there to make sure Aspen wasn't alone in her embarrassment. Ready to go with the first pitch to Jaden Goodwin. Hammers it foul. It is a hot, humid morning here in Starkville. 82 degrees at first pitch. High humidity, feels like 85. Temp will go up as we go along. Chance for some rain later in the day. We should be, as he's knocking on, if this is wood here on our counter, knocking on wood.
Would just like everybody to know that you're the one that mentioned the weather.
I think, is this
I was going to comment on how
for
it's
Micah?
Just,
I think
it is perfect
that's
softball
wood.
weather today.
Yes, good point, Maddie. Veteran move by you. Game 3 of the series. Game 1 went to Mississippi State. Game 2 to Georgia. That's popped up, foul ground, and it's got to be close and just out of play. Goodwin, a couple of hits and a run batted in yesterday in the Game 2 win. Comes into today, 327 on the season. Of course, this Georgia team, plenty of pops, 78 home runs. That's first in the SEC, but they have not homered in this series. Two and two.
They were able to tally up those 11 hits, and he mentioned have yet to hit a home run in this series, but you can score runs in other ways just besides relying on that home run.
2-2 to Goodwin. Swung on and missed. Back-to-back strikeouts, 2 away. Now, we talked to Tony Baldwin, the Georgia head coach, before the game about don't be afraid to embrace small ball a little bit. He wants his team to kind of put that kind of pressure on teams and not just wait for that home run.
And I think for a lot of these players in the Georgia offense, their version of small ball, of course, is drilling the ball through the 5-6 hole or the 3-4 hole. They still have so much pop, but he said they don't always just have to rely on that long swing. And oftentimes you're going to face some pitching, especially as you get deeper into the postseason, where maybe all it's going to take is somebody driving the ball into the gap or getting the ball through that 5-6 hole. But when you go up there trying to hit home runs, that's when your swing can get a little bit long. That's when you can expand the strike zone. So he really wants them to get back to just basic Georgia softball up at the plate.
Here's the SEC home run leader, Jada Kearney, who's down to the count 0-2. Kearney with 17 round trippers on the season, slugging .723 this year. That's good for 5th in the conference. Wesley went the distance, the 3-hit shutout on Friday night. giving up just one walk. Mentioned those 8 strikeouts, 106 pitches for the senior. Out of play.
She was really efficient on Friday, and already it's an early start here in the top of the first inning, but very efficient in her pitches too, getting ahead. And when you're able to get ahead of these types of batters, then you can expand the zone, whether it's with additional off-speed pitches or working the rise ball up and outside of the zone to get some of those swings and misses.
Popped up shallow left field, Briley St. Clair territory. She has it, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Aspen Wesley. Hits yesterday, both were in the first inning, worked out of a bases-loaded jam, went 5 in picking up the victory. Here's the lineup for Mississippi State. Sierra Sacco, very good leadoff hitter, getting things started. Nadia Barbary, and then Madison Kennedy. We talked about Kearney leading the way in the SEC. Kennedy right behind with 16 home runs this season.
Kennedy's been so impressive for this offense, just with the explosion of the power. First home run for her in game 1 since April 5th. So it'd been a little bit, you could see the relief as she was rounding the bases too, just so excited to be able to, 1, send that ball out of the yard in a close ball game, but 2, to not have to worry about that stretch anymore.
Sacco starts things with a single. Came into the game 346 on the season and 486 batting leadoff. And that's how you get things started here in the final game of the regular season for Mississippi State.
What an outstanding pickup in the transfer portal, too. This is a drop ball low and inside. I love the swing on it. She stays back behind it, drives it back up the middle. Already tons of energy coming from that Mississippi State dugout to start off this ball game.
Sacco from Louisiana Tech in her first year with Mississippi State. Bunted foul by Barbary for strike 1. Nadia trying to get things going, 0 for 7 in the series, still over the 300 mark for the season. Sophomore from Douglasville, Georgia, taking on the Georgia Dogs this weekend. One. Mississippi State got the win on Friday night. That was really, it felt like carrying the momentum from Monday night when they came from behind to win at Missouri, and Barbary had the 2-out, 2-run double in that game to give Mississippi State the victory.
Barbary's 17th double so far this season, just a sophomore for Mississippi State, but able to come through in such a clutch moment after dropping those first 2 games. Coming from behind to win that one in the 7th.
That one's hit hard but foul. These two teams will not use the running game too aggressively. Georgia's tied for 10th in the SEC. And Mississippi State with 39 stolen bases. Sacco is one to watch, though. Perfect 19 for 19. She was on the move, and it's fouled off by Barbary.
Letting you know Georgia's aware of the speed that she brings over at first base, because they had a called pickoff earlier in this at-bat. Trying to see if she was going to take off early after the fouled off bunt by Barbary. Gordon with a pretty strong arm back there behind the dish as well.
Reaching out and popping it up on the right side for out number 1 as Kuma moves over for it.
Big out right there for Shelby Walters to make sure that the runner did not get into scoring position, especially when you've got somebody with the pop that Madison Kennedy has up at the plate. She's been outstanding right in the middle of this Mississippi State order this year, and the power has just been off the charts all season long. You look at that OPS right up there near 1,300.
This is what she did Friday night. Madison Shipman mentioned the home run drought from Madison Kennedy, and this ended the drought.
Got an off-speed pitch that's curving back inside towards the barrel. You can see her celebration as she rounds third base, heading into home plate. A great swing at a clutch moment for Madison Kennedy in that ball game.
She had gone 11 games without a home run. Power numbers just blowing up this year. Her first 4 years, she had 23 total home runs, but the 16 here in her final season. Ground ball back to Walters. Could have been 2. Looked like maybe there was a smidge of miscommunication on the cover at second base, so Walters just got the out, 2 down.
Almost looked like a moment where this middle infield is trying to come in towards the ground ball. Typically, shortstop is going to cover second base when the pitcher fields the ball, but that slight hesitation because Armistead wasn't sure if she was going to have to field the ground ball initially led to that hesitation. A smart move by Walters to get the out at first.
Also with Sacco's speed, she was right on top of the base.
Great point, great point.
So Sacco at second, and here is Madalasi Fa'apito getting the start in the DP spot here. Fa'apito on Monday night in a pinch hitting role with Mississippi State down to their final strike. Somehow, some way, on, I'm not even gonna say 1 foot, it seemed like half a foot, delivered a key hit to keep things going, and then Mississippi State built on that momentum. And there's part of her fan club in center field. That is the hit it here sign.
That swing that she had against Missouri, the pitch was, what, 3 inches off of the ground, and she somehow managed to rope it out into left center. Just so strong up at the plate.
Down to the count, 1-2. Gets a piece.
Not sure how she got a piece of that one. That was a tough swing, too.
You know, this is a team that has a lot of veteran ball players, but Samantha Ricketts has had an infusion of some freshmen, some new players like Sacco, as we mentioned. That misses for a ball. So Fa'apito has seen her playing time go down. She's still a two-way player. She pitched yesterday, but just 3 for 13 at the plate this season. I think that's what made it so impressive Monday night. Just not many at-bats, yet she came through against a good Missouri team and delivered that key hit. This one is crushed to left, but it's hooking foul.
Got a good piece of that one. 2-2 pitch inside. Just how strong she is able to get to this pitch. Keeping her hands inside. Actually hits this one a little bit off of the end of the bat, and yet it still was driven with extreme force down that left field line. Then she spoils good pitchers' pitches right there. That's frustrating for a pitcher when you throw a good pitch, a drop ball outside after she just fouled off a pitch inside. Think you might be able to get her on that outside pitch. Able to foul that one off to see another one here in this 2-2 count.
Count goes full.
Coach Ricketts talked a lot about just how great of a leader Madalasi Fa'apito has been for this Mississippi State team and the success that this team has seen throughout this season.
Called this class selfless, being vocal leaders. This one is hit deep to left. It is carrying, and it is gone! What an at-bat for Fa'apito. The celebration on beyond the fence in the outfield. And the celebration on at home plate, 2-0 Mississippi State.
Fa'apito just battled this entire at-bat, spoiling those good pitchers' pitches on the outside part of the plate until she could get something she could handle. Crushes this drop ball low and inside. Hands go up as soon as that ball leaves the yard. What a big swing from Fa'apito to give the Bulldogs the early lead in this one.
First home run this season, career home run number 42 for Fa'apito, 2-0 against Shelby Walters. As a team, that's home run number 45 for the Bulldogs, their second of this series against Georgia. And Walters behind in the count, 2-0 to Paige Cook.
still celebrating over in that dugout, the home run from Fapito. What a big moment, too. Senior weekend here at Mississippi State.
Samoan Heritage Appreciation Day today here as well, and the families turning out for senior day and graduation ceremonies yesterday. So a lot of energy here at the field with the families and the support. And that feeling of it being the last home game of the season. What a way for Fapito, who's having a good week. Started Monday against Missouri, and it's continued here against Georgia. Paige Cook aboard with 2 down, and here's Kylie Edwards.
Matalassi didn't quite hit it towards her giant picture out in center field, but I believe the fan club out there will take it nonetheless, no matter where it's leaving the yard.
Edwards having a fantastic first year in the SEC. Part of a 1-2 punch in the center of the infield. Kylie Edwards, Salen Hawkins, a couple of freshmen who've really played well together, and you mix in a freshman catcher and Ella Wesolowski. It gives you an idea of how the youth has helped this Mississippi State team turn things around from a year ago where they did not qualify for the NCAA tournament, but they'll go to the tournament this year.
And you look at the numbers that the freshmen in this lineup have put up, and of course they've been great numbers, but I think of their leadership defensively and some of the outstanding defense that we've seen from them. Even in this series alone, great plays made up the middle by that duo.
Ooh, Walters on the comebacker to retire the side, but not before Pito goes yard.
Just how great of a teammate Shelby was in her time at Georgia.
Ground ball snagged by the shortstop. The throw won't be in time. Edwards, good glove work, but beating it out is Sarah Mosley for Georgia's first hit. As you saw, Shelby, strength and conditioning coach now for Mississippi State in her first season. A little bit of a reunion this weekend.
Look at that play by Edwards, too. She doesn't get the out over at first base, but it's those little things, too, that extra step that she's able to get, the sliding grab, popping up to your feet to make that play close over at first base. The elite defense that we've seen up the middle for Mississippi State this year.
Sydney Kuma tries to bunt, fouls it off for strike 1. Senior 351 on the season, 1 for 4 in the series. Down on the count 0-2. Talk about Samoan Heritage Appreciation Day. Sydney's family with ties to Tonga and Mississippi State included her in their pregame ceremony as well.
Everybody getting pictures over down that first baseline.
See that a lot, like on Senior Day when teams will honor the seniors from the visiting team as well. That's up high for a ball, 1-2. Kuma was 1 for 2 with a walk and was hit by a pitch yesterday, scored a run in that 5-0 win for Georgia. Proved Georgia to 12-11 in the SEC. So Georgia wins here today. They'll finish 5th in the SEC. They'll be seeded 5th in the SEC tournament. Top 4 seeds are set: Tennessee, Florida, Texas A&M, and Arkansas. Congratulations to your alma mater, Tennessee, winning back-to-back regular season titles in the SEC.
First time in program history that they've won back-to-back regular season championships.
As we get into postseason play this week, it'll be SEC tournament, then NCAA tournament. I know you and I have been watching quite closely Bedlam, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma State winning twice so far in that series in Norman. Swung on and missed, and Wesley's got her 3rd strikeout, 1 away.
When you get to the postseason, it really comes down to getting the dominant clutch pitching when you need it, and we're seeing that from Aspen Wesley. Goes with a curveball here, and Sydney Kuma is way late on this swing, probably anticipating that she's going to see another one of those off-speed pitches, but goes with that curveball on the outside part of the plate to get her 3rd strikeout already on the afternoon.
Pulls the string for strike 1. Wesley working ahead so far. 6 batters faced, has started everybody off with strike 1.
She got so many of those strikeouts.
Ground ball off the bat of Sarah Gordon. They get the force at second. Too late for the double play. It gets away, but off the screen by the dugout. So no advance for Gordon, 2 down.
You can even see on these swings that George is taking, look at how far off the end of the bat this ball is hit over to Nadia Barbary at third base. Just not able to time it up. That throw a little bit offline by Hawkins. I don't think they would have had the double play even if that throw was right on the money. But it's that elite level spin from Wesley, the late movement that she's able to get on some of these pitches too, working up and away from the righties.
Sydney Chambly with the fly ball in the first pitch to right center field. Sacco has it to retire the side. 2-0 Mississippi State. And just felt like something that just took a load off their shoulders. And she told us this week it was so big for them because they needed it. They felt like it was coming. The pitchers and hitters were working together. There was no, well, why don't you pitch better? Why don't you hit better? They were just keeping it loose and light, and it paid off with that 7th inning comeback.
Getting every facet of the game to click in the same moment is what every team is striving for this time of the season. You want to get that pitching out there being dominant. You want to be able to run produce, whether it's with the home runs or playing the small ball. It doesn't matter. You just want to find a way to get those runs across. And, of course, playing solid defense left and right. And that Missouri game was where it finally came together for Mississippi State, although this team has had some big wins throughout this season. Even just in SEC play alone, I think about the big win that they had over Tennessee. Run rule win here in Starkville over Tennessee.
9-1 was the final in that game, even though Tennessee won the series. And we know, after watching the Lady Vols for the last couple of years, they know how to win series, even after dropping game 1. But that was a eye-popping moment in the SEC when you saw that result. Like, Mississippi State run-ruled Tennessee, #1 team, and then that win at Missouri. So a couple of moments for this team that had their struggles a year ago, as we mentioned. Didn't make it to the NCAA tournament, but have really turned things around. And with a win here today, there's a soft liner into the glove of Mosley. Wesolowski is retired, out #1 here in the second. With the win here today, Mississippi State would be 500 in the SEC for the first time since 2007.
It was really an eye-opening moment for this team at the end of last year and not hearing their names called. Coach Samantha Ricketts said that that was the moment that this team really turned over a new leaf and said, that's not going to happen again. What do we need to do to be better in this 2024 season? I think you've seen improvements from them across the board. You're seeing improvements from them defensively, offensively, just a power explosion, even just between Madison Kennedy and Nadia Barbary. But even in the pitcher's circle, getting some really elite pitching from both Josie Marin and Aspen Wesley, both of which have pitched a career high in innings so far this season for the Bulldogs.
1-1 the count to Salem Hawkins, one of those newcomers, the freshman, at .310 on the season. 2 for 4 with an RBI in the series. Ground ball to third. Mosley on to Digby, 2 down. Weekend here in Starkville. Baseball team over at the Dude taking on Alabama this weekend. There's ball 1 to Briley St. Clair, #9 hitter. Back to the pitcher, Walters has to eat it. St. Clair's aboard with 2 down here in the second.
Watching that bunt come off of Briley St. Clair's bat straight to Shelby Walters, I thought she was going to have a play at first on this one. Sydney Kuma gets over there in plenty of time. I'm wondering if maybe she just didn't have a good grip on the softball, not even attempt to throw over to first base. Now you've got the top of the order coming back up with a runner on board.
Third hit for Mississippi State, and here is Sacco, who started things off last inning with a single and scored on the Pito 2-run homer. Strike 1.
I'm wondering why she didn't throw the ball over to first base. Looks like she didn't bobble it there. I didn't see a bobble. Maybe just didn't think she was going to get her out over at first. Definitely would have been close.
1-1 now to Sacco. Sacco had 2 hits in that Mizzou win, snapped an 0 for 14 skid. And the count 2-1 here in the second inning. Deciding game of the series between Georgia and Mississippi State. Grounded to second, waiting on it. At second base is Kuma on the Digby to retire the side. 2 innings in the book. It's lunchtime almost. Well, 11:37 local, so almost. Aspen Wesley starts with strike 1 yet again. She has just been pounding the strike zone so far against Georgia.
She's thrown 27 pitches. 22 of them have been strikes. That's now 8 batters that she started with the first pitch strike to start off this ball game.
1-1 to Emily Digby. Digby, the freshman, 226 on the season with 5 homers. 2-1. Wesley had her 3rd shutout of the season on Friday night, all coming in SEC play. Two and two. She said after that game, Maddie, that no matter what pitch was called, her goal was to spin it as hard as she could.
And she was absolutely doing it. And I was just looking at the amount of changeups and just how accurate she threw those changeups to Georgia on Friday. 80% strike rate on the changeup.
Swung on and missed. They'll have to throw to first to retire Digby, which is what Wesolowski does. Strikeout number 4 for Wesley, 1 away.
It's one thing to spin it, but to have the control of the movement that she had and the variety of different speeds, that's why you see swings off of the end of the bat. Look at how much that ball's even spinning off of Digby's bat. Easy out right there with the changeup pulling the string.
Yeah, I thought that was strike 3. Instead, it was barely caught. This is Armistead lifting it deep to left. To the track, and just a step in front of the wall is Briley St. Clair. 2 down.
One of the few swings that we've seen from Georgia where they're able to time up the pitches out of the hand of Wesley. Looks like a screwball on the inside part of the plate. Nice swing by Armistead, but a nice play out in left field by Briley St. Clair. And I was just curious looking at what Wesley's season strike rate for that changeup was. 66.9%, and she was throwing it at an 80% clip for strikes in game 1. Just shows you how efficient she was, and also getting over 46% whiffs on that pitch as well.
Yeah, we saw it too, Maddie, like the highlights after the Missouri when she went out there, struck out the side. She wasn't going to let the team down after they had come back and taken the lead, and she was fighting back the tears. And then we saw here Friday night, she's a little bit teary as well. We asked Samantha Ricketts about it, and I think it's just a combination of here's a senior who's pitching really well, trying just to completely continue the erasing of the bad memories from last year and going out on her terms. And it's just been fun to watch someone just emerge as an ace. Barbary leaps, throws on the first in time, and it's another easy inning for Aspen Wesley. 2-0 after Pito Fathead out there. It looks like a little homecoming reunion out there for some former Mississippi State players. Chloe Malaulu out there.
Jackie McKenna out there as well, supporting this current Bulldogs roster.
Barbary leading things off here for Mississippi State. Up 2-0 after the Pito 2-run home run in the first. Barbary popped out to second her first time. 3-0 from Shelby Walters. Well, the way it looks like Aspen Wesley is dialed in again here against this Georgia team, and now 10 straight scoreless innings thrown by Wesley against Georgia. Pressure on Walters to keep it right here at a 2-0 game, hoping that they can scratch something out against Wesley as this game goes along.
She's really just made the one mistake to Fa Pito. She gave up the base hit to Sierra Sacco to start off that inning. Not a bad pitch, just a better swing.
Soft liner to left, coming on to make the catch is Goodwin, 1 down.
But other than that, she's done a pretty nice job of making sure that Mississippi State can't get solid barrel on her pitches. Still bringing in some good velocity too, and her workload has definitely increased as the season has gone on as well. Trying to work that drop ball low in the zone. That's where she gets herself into trouble at times, is when that drop ball has a tendency to stay maybe a little bit more belt high to mid-thigh rather than thigh down to the knees.
Ball one to Madison Kennedy, who grounded back to the pitcher her first time. Pito's home run came with 2 down in the first inning. 1-1. Catches the corner for strike 2. 1-2 the count to Madison Kennedy with 1 out here in the third inning.
We talk about the number improvement that Madison Kennedy has had this season with her power, and really you see a difference in her stance to start off her swing this year too.
Lifts that one to left. It's Goodwin again. 2 down.
Seems
There was no catching this off the bat of Matafa'a Pito in the first inning.
smoked this drop ball low and inside. What impressed me the most about this at-bat, outside of just the 2-run shot, was the fact that she fouled off some really good pitcher's pitches earlier in that at-bat to be able to get to that pitch. Her first home run this entire season came at a great point in the early part of this ball game.
Well, obviously, Mississippi State, by reading that stat there, Mississippi State needed to have Samoan Appreciation Day every home game.
Every weekend.
The 0-1 from Walters. 0-2. Pitch. Pito lays off. It's 1-2. So Mata now 4 for 14 this season. Was 0 for 3 in the series before that home run. That misses for a ball. It's 2-2.
Good spot outside. I'd imagine that they're probably not going to throw a drop ball anywhere close to low and inside after what Mata did in her last at bat with the home run. I'd stay with those drop balls on the outside part of the plate here.
That's out of play.
Spoils another pretty good pitch.
Well, you talked about it before. How many good pitches did she spoil in that first at-bat?
And she's doing it again here. I just don't think I would change things up and go back to the inside part of the plate. I'd stick with change-ups and drop balls outside.
That's what they do when they get the strikeout. Walters, a 1-2-3 inning. When we come back, we will talk to Samantha Ricketts, the Mississippi Day. You appreciate your cleanup hitter on this day, I have a feeling, right, Sam?
Yes, just such a great job by Mata. You know, she's really been having great at-bats and seeing it well the last few weeks for us. So to get her in there and for her to just battle through that count and come up big to put us on the board first was huge.
Aspen Wesley already in this ball game, just showing the great command that you've seen from her really throughout her entire career. But what's standing out to you today against this Georgia team?
I think just her focus, and you can just see the resolve on her face, and she's just determined to go out there and give us the best outing she can and keep competing. And I think she's really stepped up for us, especially lately, but really all year long, and just continuing to have just quality pitches and continue to keep us in the games.
All right, you're very focused down there because they are
I'm very distracted.
Yeah, they are putting on a show behind you. Thanks, Sam. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Hail State.
They've always got something going on in the dugout, right?
All over this park. You know,
yeah.
We've got the fans beyond the wall. We've got the players in the dugout. We've got DJ Cujo.
Yes.
Here at Club News.
Bumping
spinning
here
the tunes.
at Club News.
I'm sorry. What was that?
It's bumping. Yeah.
Oh,
you
I'm
and
sorry.
I are dancing in here in the booth.
Bumping, is that what I'm supposed to say instead of spinning the tunes?
I assume that's what the cool kids are saying these days. I don't know. I might be showing my age as well.
I think spinning the tunes will make a comeback like wide ties eventually. Looking for the leadoff single via the bunt, unsuccessful for Goodwin. Good play by Mississippi State team that has struggled at times defensively, but they've made some good positive plays in the field in this series. One down.
I think you saw maybe some struggles for Mississippi State at the early part of the season because we have talked about how many young players, how many freshmen that they have right up the middle in leadership positions defensively, but also you see Madison Kennedy over at first base this season. She's played shortstop throughout her career at Mississippi State, so a little bit of a shift in where people are playing in the infield, but Coach Ricketts said that she's provided so much leadership just having played that shortstop position to Kylie Edwards and Salen Hawkins working up the middle.
0-2 the count to Jada Kearney, who flied out to left her first time. It's an important game for Georgia when you take a look at the big picture. I know you're just trying to put the finishing touches on the regular season, feeling good about where you are at that point. Hope to build a little momentum, get a couple of wins, maybe more in the SEC tournament. But Georgia's one of those teams right on that super regional bubble. They'll host a regional in the NCAA tournament, but they might need a win here today and a win in the SEC tournament to ensure their spot. That would put it in their hands. There's a swing and a miss. That got away from the catcher just briefly. Wesolowski throws on the first. Popped up out of play.
I think to your point, Eric, you want to be in the driver's seat and you want to control what you can control.
Which they do right now.
And absolutely, but in what they can control is winning this game today, winning a game at the SEC tournament. You really just don't want to do anything to leave it in somebody else's hands or have to rely on another team losing here and there to be able to enhance your spot in the standings. And when you look at really what they've done all season long, they've played an extremely tough schedule. Last time I checked, they were up there number 2 strength of schedule in the country. And if you name a top pitcher across the country, they've faced her. Whether it's Kyra Aycock and Lexi Kilfoyle from Oklahoma State, Taylor Tinsley from UCLA, Emma Lemley from Virginia Tech, Valerie Cagle from Clemson, Nigeri Kennedy from Stanford. You name the top pitching, they faced them. And that's just outside of the SEC, not even diving into Peyton Gottschall and Carlin Pickens that they face from Tennessee. So this is a team that's well known for their offense, but on the flip side, they've also faced the toughest pitching across the country.
Mosley swing and a miss. 2-2 now the count. In that February schedule, as you take a look at that last pitch, you just mentioned some of the big names, but they had wins over Oklahoma State and UCLA and Florida State and Clemson and Virginia Tech. And I know Tony Baldwin hopes that come Selection Sunday that the committee will take a close look at what happened in February, not just what happens in early and mid-May. We will talk with Tony Baldwin when we come back to Starkville. You've run into every ace that you can imagine if you go back to February and add Aspen Wesley to the list, but you had some big February wins. What do you want to see from your team here as we get into the middle of May and into the postseason after today?
Yeah, I think just playing team softball, situational at-bats, competing in our at-bats, past the bat, just stringing together quality at-bats. We haven't done a great job of that today, and hats off to Aspen. She's thrown outstanding. She's changing speeds, and we're just having a hard time identifying the pitches. And I think right now we just got to be resilient and stay in it. And here we are. We find ourselves in another Sunday battle in the SEC.
We've seen you gather the team over in the dugout. Is that talking about those offensive adjustments that you're wanting to see because she has such great spin on her pitches today?
I'm embarrassed to say, yeah, it is. But we're not seeing a lot of it, so hopefully we can put some of that into play and have some more competitive at-bats as we finish this out.
You should never be embarrassed dealing with us or anything, Tony. You know that.
Thanks, guys.
We appreciate you. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Coach.
I can sense a little frustration because this is a flashback to Friday night. We talked to Tony pregame today about trying to learn from the experience of Friday night. You learn from a loss and what Aspen Wesley was throwing, and this is just 100% a continuation of what Georgia's approach at the plate was Friday night.
And I think you've seen this from Georgia, not even just this weekend, but some of that frustration over the course of maybe the past couple of weeks in the SEC, just not having those consistent quality at-bats that he's talking about. And a quality at-bat isn't just going up there and ripping a home run, but it's executing a game plan, swinging at the right pitch, or even just putting a good swing on the pitch. Even if you're able to hit a couple of foul balls, just something to try to get some of the momentum back into your dugout, because right now Aspen Wesley, with the way that she's throwing, she's getting ahead early in the count. She's gotten a couple of strikeouts already, a lot of them on that changeup, and she just keeps working it in there because she's been successful now with it against this same offense 2 games in a row.
Cook, Edwards, and Wesolowski to face Walters here in the bottom half of the 4th inning for Mississippi State. Page walked back in the 1st inning. I think you've always been a fan of Paige Cook's approach at the plate, watching her throughout her career.
Well, because the way that her stance is so open when she gets into the box, you'll notice that her left foot is almost outside of the right-handed batter's box, but she never really comes fully closed in her stride either.
And she delivers. Leadoff single for Paige Cook, just as Maddie was breaking down the swing to lead things off here in the 4th.
With that open stance, she invites pitchers to throw the ball on the outside part of the plate just because she has that open stance, but she has incredible plate coverage while still keeping her hips open. The way that she's able to keep her hands inside of this pitch too, drive it back up the middle. Typically she's able to take pitches even on the inner half and drive them the opposite way, even though she's got that open stance. But she's always got that clutch factor too, always seems to be the name that's in the mix when Mississippi State has a big win.
Jaden Burney will run for Cook. Paige's 2nd hit of the series. I'll bring up Kylie Edwards, line back to Walters to end the 1st. Looking to bunt. Sacrifice is successful. Burney on the 2nd, 1 away.
Pretty nice play over at first base by Emily Digby. Bunt laid down here from Kylie Edwards. Actually gets a bit underneath this bunt, goes over towards that 3-4 hole. Digby goes with the backhand, makes a nice easy play over at first base. Runner over into scoring position now with 1 away.
For Ella Wesolowski, who lined out to 3rd her first time, takes strike 1. Oh, and 2. Wesolowski down in the count, but she has been tough to strike out this season. Just 7 strikeouts for the freshman. 1 and 2.
Got the call on the pitch before on a drop ball, goes with the curveball, didn't miss by much. Maybe a hair outside.
Two and 2.
Talk about the numbers that the freshmen have been able to put up for Mississippi State this year. Wesolowski actually has the best batting average so far for Mississippi State with runners in scoring position. Batting .389 on the season with runners in scoring position.
First time today there's a runner in scoring position for either team. This is grabbed by Kuma. Good defensive play. 2 down.
Nicely executed pitch by Walters too, going back with the drop ball low and outside. I thought for a second Wesolowski was going to sneak this one in over the head of Sydney Kuma. Good drop step there going back into the grass. The leap at the last second. Always tough when you don't have a ton of time to react to those types of fly balls off of the bat in the middle infield, but able to secure that one for out number 2.
Strike 1 to Salyn Hawkins, who grounded out her first time. Hawkins 2 for 5 in the series. The 0-1. 0-2. The 0-2 pitch to the freshman. Foul tip. And Hawkins will stay alive.
Walters keeps getting that call on the drop ball up and away to the right-handed batters. I'd almost be tempted to keep on going to that spot and extending the zone. Even saw that swing from Hawkins there, just trying to protect that outside half of the plate. Hasn't been getting the calls on the curveball, but the drop ball, she seems to be getting that one called.
Tap to third. Mosley across the diamond to Digby to retire the side. Walters doing her job, giving up just the 2 runs so far. Still 2. I think they're going to say Kuma leaned over. So not hit by a pitch. She's going to stay in the batter's box. Tony Baldwin coming down for a conversation.
And as a batter, you have a right to the batter's box, so you don't have to move if the ball's thrown into the batter's box, but you can't lean outside of the batter's box to get hit. And it looks like there might have been a little last-minute lean by the elbow there of Sydney Kuma. So they bring her back into the batter's box.
Pitch is called a ball, a rare occasion where it's not a first pitch strike for Aspen Wesley. Slow roller to third, Barbary to first, 2 down. Just want to talk to you a little bit more about what we talked with Tony Baldwin about the hitting and the approach. And we talked about it, 78 home runs for this team. There are so many names that we've been saying for years, Maddie, with Kearney and Mosley and Kuma and Chambly. And, you know, sometimes for seniors, you just expect, well, just grab a bat and we're just going to keep doing what we've been doing throughout our careers. But there's a lot of data on you, a lot of video on you, and it gets challenging as your career goes along.
I was going to say, with the years of experience comes years of data and analytics and statistics that the opponents have against you up at the plate, especially the teams that you've already seen
that's close.
Before in your career, as we're leaning out to make a play. It won't count as an out on the field, but it'll count as an out in our hearts if we were actually able to make a play on that. But they've got the pop, 1 through 9 in this offense. 78 home runs so far this season. 7 players with 5 or more home runs on this team. And they've hit a stretch where they just have not been able to hit the ball consistently with those quality at-bats. And I think at times you almost want to do too much up at the plate. You want to try too hard to have that home run swing, especially when you know maybe your teammates aren't having their best at-bats. You want to make up for their at-bats with your at-bat, and then it becomes a snowball effect 1 through 9 in the order, when ultimately you just got to get back to clearing your head, going up there, and relying on some of those instincts and what you've used in the past against certain pitching, maybe not overthinking it, not going up there trying to guess what pitch is going to come, but just reacting to what you're seeing out of the pitcher's hand.
First 3-ball count of the game for Aspen Wesley comes with 1 out in the 5th.
3-1 pitch just pumps in a straight strike right down Main Street. Curveball to bring it to full.
Ball 4. Good take by Gordon. She's aboard with 1 down.
Pitch didn't look like it missed by much on that inside part of the plate. Rise ball, screwball up and inside. Belt high. Looks like a good pitch to me, but it's called a ball.
Let me rephrase it. Good take by Gordon. How do you take that? That was pretty close.
I think she was looking outside.
Got fooled. And here's a line drive to left. He'll get down for a base hit. So Georgia may be putting something together right now. Gordon with the walk. Chambly with a solid single. 2 on with 1 down here in the 5th.
And you're wondering if you're going to start to see Georgia be more aggressive early in the count because Aspen Wesley has been so good at getting ahead early. But the key with her is making sure that if you're aggressive, you're
have some pretty good pinch hitting options in that dugout, and it is Lindy Ray Davis who will come out to hit against Wesley.
Had a couple of really good hits in Game 2 yesterday. Lindy Ray's got a lot of power coming from that left side. And Sydney Chambly, a lefty hitter, just got a really good swing on a base hit out to left center, maybe hoping to capitalize on a couple of lefties in a row here, bringing Davis into the ball game.
Strike one to the pinch hitter, Davis. Davis struck out facing Wesley on Friday night. One and one. Had a 2-run single in the first yesterday. That was a 3-run first inning for Georgia. Followed that up with a single in the third. That was against Josie Marin, who was the starter yesterday for Mississippi State. One and one the count to Davis. 2-1.
Good take on the last two pitches by Davis after the first one was called for a strike. Marginal strike down at the bottom of the zone, hit right at the knees. Not a pitch that you want to go after first pitch. Comes inside with a curveball for a ball, then goes away with an off speed for another ball. And now she's found herself in a hitter's count here, 2-1.
2-2.
And man, she just nails that low and outside corner again. Not a pitch, even in a hitter's count that you want to go after here. Just a great pitcher's pitch right at the knees. Good frame by Wesolowski back behind the dish too.
Here's the 2-2. Swung on and missed. Strikeout number 5 for Wesley. 2 down.
After throwing a couple of pitches low in the zone, getting them called, she goes with this screwball, so it's going to tail a little bit more up in the zone and away from the lefty bat. Huge strikeout there with 2 runners on board.
Ellie Armistead being called back. And it looks like Tyler Ellison is going to pinch hit here with 2 down and 2 on in the 5th. So here comes the sophomore from McDonough, Georgia. Entered the weekend 8 for 25 at the plate. Well, maybe Tony Baldwin didn't want Ellison. Did he want Jaden Fields? Well, Ellison's going back. Yes, and it will be Fields will pinch hit here. Well, you know Jaden's got some pop. 29 career home runs. So she'll step up here in a big spot batting for Armistead. Down 2 in the 5th.
Fields faced Aspen Wesley in game 1 of this series. Wesley got her looking on a called strike 3, a curveball away.
Fields 0 for 2 in the series. First pitch from Aspen Wesley. Ball 1. Off speed, 1-1.
Can just see how far out in front Fields is on this swing. Just tells me that she's not able to pick up the fact that this is an off-speed pitch coming out of the hand. She probably thinks it's a rise ball working up and inside. Just pulling the string on that off-speed.
Two and one.
Goes back to it again. The other element of difficulty with this pitch too is how she's able to locate middle in to these right-handed batters. Typically off speeds are going to go low and away to the righties, but because she's able to locate it inside, again, leads you to think that it's going to be a higher velocity pitch.
Soft liner to left, coming out quickly, short hopping it. It drops in for a hit, and Georgia's got a run. Jaden Fields with an RBI single with 2 down here in the 5th, and it's a 2-1 game.
After swinging and missing in that at-bat, you could just see the little adjustments that Fields makes with this swing. Starting her swing a bit later, is still out in front on this one, but gets it to drop down in front of the diving Briley St. Clair. Good base running from Davila at second base too. Taken off, rounding third base, able to score easily on this base hit out to left field. First run across the board in this ball game for Georgia.
Wesolowski jumping out from behind the plate to catch that throw home to make sure that the runner stayed at second. So it's first and second with 2 down. Top of the order for Goodnight. Ball 1. Inning started with Kuma grounding out. Gordon walked. Chambly singled. Davis struck out, and then Jaden Fields with an RBI single, scoring Gordon. 1-1 to Goodnight. Aspen Wesley had thrown 11 2/3 scoreless innings in this series against Georgia before Fields came through with a 2-out pinch hit single.
And it's that walk to Sarah Gordon that just comes back to haunt Aspen Wesley. Prior to that at bat, hadn't even gotten to a 3-ball count. Ends up walking her on a close pitch inside. Georgia got the call, and they've taken advantage.
Goodnight rolls it foul. Dallas 0 for 2 today, 4 for 9 with 3 runs scored in the series. Wesley has had to work here in the 5th inning. Goodnight grounds it to second. The throw on the first by Hawkins retires aside. Jesse Blaine misses for ball 1.
You've seen Georgia do this throughout the season too, working a couple of different pitchers as they see pinch hitter and Jesse Blaine coming into this ball game. Blaine does a really nice job of hitting pitches that are low in the zone, something she's going to see from Backus here.
Backus got the game 1 start, went 5, gave up 4 hits, 1 earned run, struck out 4. Came on in game 2, pitched a couple of innings, gave up 1 hit, didn't give up a run. Spins in there for a strike. It's 2-1.
That first strike you just saw there, prime example of what you're going to see out of Lily Backus. Throws the ball in the low 60s, curveball to both sides of the plate, but it's that changeup that she can throw in any count. It is a plus pitch for her. She can locate wherever she needs to in the zone.
Grounded, knocked down by Armistead. Making the turn is Blaine at first. She'll hold there with a leadoff single.
Great piece of hitting here. Back-to-back changeups Backus tries to throw here. Drills this one into the 5-6 hole. Nice effort by Ellie Armistead diving to prevent that one from getting out into the outfield. But that one's going to be a base hit all day long for the pinch hitter, Jesse Blaine.
So Blaine will head back to the dugout. St. Clair will re-enter and run for Mississippi State.
St. Clair with 4 stolen bases so far this season, and I'd imagine she's going to be looking to go with the amount of changeups that Lily Backus throws. If one gets down into the dirt, would not be surprised if we see her be aggressive to advance another 60 feet.
Top of the order, here's Sacco. 1 for 2 today with a run scored. Sacco lays down the bunt. It's a good one, and the throw to first is in time. The sacrifice successful. St. Clair down to second, 1 away.
Textbook fundamental softball right there by Sacco. Getting the bunt down, high fives all around from her teammates as she's heading back into the dugout, advancing that runner into scoring position.
Here's Barbary, who's 0 for 2. Strike 1. There's been a lot of work for Walters and Backus because Madison Kerpix has been out since April 14th Third straight SEC series that she's missed. She's been battling an illness. Tony Baldwin sounded optimistic that she would be ready to go for the postseason for Georgia, but even then, after such a long layoff, almost a month by that point, probably going to have to work her slowly back into the flow for this Georgia team, but she's been one of their very best pitchers. Second team all-conference a season ago. Popped up, back behind the plate. Not a lot of room back there, but just enough for Gordon to make the catch. Now the umpires are going to have a conversation. Did Gordon make contact with the net before that ball ended up in her glove?
Or did the ball make contact with the net before she caught that ball?
I think that's probably going to be the call, that it's spin off the net. This is one you would hear, I think, more than see in some ways.
Hard to tell there if it's changing directions as she goes to make that catch.
Grounded to the shortstop. Armistead has it on the first for the out. Moving over to third is St. Clair, 2 down.
They must have changed that call on the field immediately without even having to go to review. They obviously called it a foul ball, brought Barbary back into the box. As we were taking a look at it in review, hard to tell if it hit the net or not, but clearly somebody on the field had a good view of it, called it a foul ball, and a quick out there. And now Chelsea Wilkinson's going to come out and have a conversation with her battery pitching coach for Georgia. Guaranteed this is all about trying to figure out strategy with Madison Kennedy coming up to the plate with a runner over at third base, where they want to pitch her, if they want to pitch to her. But I do think that Madalasi Fapito hitting that home run earlier in the ball game helps Madison Kennedy in this situation possibly get something good to hit here.
Kennedy's home run was against Bacchus on Friday night. 0 for 2 today. Strike one. Good. 1-1. Fouled back by Kennedy, down in the count, 1-2.
Goes after that changeup. Take another look at this home run that she hit off of Lily Bacchus in the circle on Friday. Off-speed pitch, low and inside, just tails right into that barrel. So much pop when she's able to pull the ball down that left side.
2-2.
Not surprised here that so far the only pitch that we've seen on the inner half to Kennedy has been that rise ball up and out of the zone. Everything else, change-ups, curveballs, backdoor curveballs, have been outside to Kennedy in this at-bat.
3-2. 9 of Kennedy's 16 home runs have come in conference play. Got off to a great start, cooled off. Went deep on Friday. Now here's the 3-2. Called strike 3. Bacchus gets the strikeout to retire the side.
Head-to-head matchups, and then if you didn't play head-to-head, then it goes even deeper into the weeds.
One thing that's clear here, if Georgia wins, they would finish in 5th. But if they lose, you're into a tiebreaker. You'd have potentially 4 12-12 teams. You'd have at least 3, Mississippi State, LSU, and Georgia. Mizzou is playing South Carolina at 3 o'clock Eastern time today. This one has popped up, foul off the bat, a good one and out of play. What else can I tell you after spending hours and hours trying to figure out tiebreakers?
The first tiebreaker is head-to-head. And then if you didn't play head-to-head, then it's your highest-ranked opponent.
Right. You eventually could get down to a coin flip, which is always fun. Alabama's locked into the 9 spot. Georgia, Mizzou, LSU, and Mississippi State all could be 12 and 12. Mississippi State, if they lose, they'd be the 8th seed. South Carolina with a win today, and they're taking on Mizzou, as I mentioned. They finished tied for 10th. If they lose, they're tied for 11th with Kentucky, but South Carolina owns that tiebreaker because they won the series. You want me to keep going, or you had enough?
we could probably talk about the tiebreaker scenarios for another inning.
Let me rephrase it with one down here in the 6th. The most important thing, no matter where the seating is how you're playing at that moment, and take a look at the field. Who's playing well in your estimation?
You want to win. You don't want to leave it into the hands of a tiebreaker. But Tennessee playing extremely well right now. I think Florida's playing extremely well right now. Another team that I think is heating up towards the end of the season is Ole Miss. I think they've been playing really well as of late. Choosing the right time of the year to get hot. Grace Sparks, the sophomore pitcher for them, with a win in 2 of the games this weekend. Ansley Furbush having a great season for them with 9 home runs. Lexi Brady, another hitter that's been outstanding for them.
That's back-to-back series wins, by the way, after they took 2 of 3 in Fayetteville. That's fouled off. Arkansas had won the last 5 SEC series, so yes, very impressive for Ole Miss down the stretch here, playing their best softball. You mentioned Florida, a couple of one-run wins so far against Texas A&M, 2-1 in game 1, 9-8 in game 2. Jocelyn Erickson with the walk-off single. What an impact she's had for that Florida team.
They're a team where the freshmen and the transfers have really shined for Florida this year. Between the freshmen in the circle and Ava Brown and Tegan Rothrock, and then the transfers and Corby Otis and Jocelyn Erickson right up there in the top half of their order, have been great run producers and have come through in clutch moments. You saw the big home run that Jocelyn Erickson hit against this Georgia team in game 3 last weekend to lift them to a series victory in Athens.
Final game of that series today in Gainesville. Missouri's another team to watch. They have a chance to sweep South Carolina at South Carolina this weekend. Taylor Pinnell picking up her 12th save yesterday in a 4-2 win. They won 2-0 in game 1. Mizzou could be looking at back-to-back series sweeps were it not for the Mississippi State comeback in the 7th inning on Monday night.
Missouri seems to be a team that comes through with some clutch, timely hitting, too. You had a pinch hit RBI by Katie Chester in game 1 in that Mizzou-South Carolina series. I also think that Coach Larissa Anderson does a nice job of working her entire pitching staff. She's got pitchers that can come in and close games, get the saves, and she's got somebody like Lauren Krings that can go the distance for them in the circle.
Kearney gets hit hard by the pitch. That one is going to leave a mark. She'll take first with 1 down.
Almost looked like it got her right on the kneecap here. Ooh, on that back right knee. And you see that movement from her knee. To me, that doesn't look like she's trying to get hit by the pitch. I think that's Jada Kearney initiating her swing with her lower half. She starts with her lower half first and then initiates the top half. Either way, did not feel good hitting off of that back leg.
Haley Eaton will run for Kearney. So the tying run aboard here in the 6th inning for Georgia, and here is Mosley. Mosley has been an outstanding run producer throughout her Georgia career. 57 RBI this season to lead the team. Ball 1. Third in the SEC with those 57 runs batted in. You mentioned the Florida series. She had 3 home runs. Went 5 for 10 in that series against the Gators.
One of those was an absolute monster of a shot, too. It might still be hanging up in the sky somewhere. She hit it so far. But she's just got so much power in her swing, and she's a swing that I feel like can adjust to a variety of different pitches, different locations in the zone. Starts in her stance really tall and just so explosive when that swing initiates.
Grounded, base hit into left field. Mosley comes through, and Georgia's got something cooking here in the 6th. Started with a really good at-bat by Kearney, saw a bunch of pitches, got hit by a pitch, and then Mosley with a solid single.
Prime example of just having quality at-bats back-to-back. Kearney's at-bat led to Mosley coming up. She got ahead in the count 2-0, was aggressive here knowing that Wesley's going to try to bring something into that zone. Still out in front just a bit, but hits it hard enough down that left field line to keep this rally going.
So here is Kuma, 0 for 2 today, 0 for 4 in this series facing Wesley. Tony Baldwin called time to have a conversation with the veteran second baseman before this pitch, which is a strike. Kuma struck out in the second, grounded out in the fifth. One and one. Tony Baldwin has talked about things not lining up a lot in recent weeks as they've struggled a little bit. The right player wasn't coming up at the right time. Well, the time is right now for Georgia. First and second, one out. And the number 5 hitter, Kuma, at the plate, who's now down in the count 1-2.
Kuma's another one of those players in this offense, too, that has that clutch gene, seems to be somebody that's been able to come through time and time again throughout her course as a career as a Georgia Bulldog with that clutch piece of hitting. Just want to have that pass the bat mentality here after 2 back-to-back quality at-bats by your teammates.
Swung on and missed. Kuma, throughout her career, has been tough to strike out, but Wesley gets her twice today, 2 away.
And this swing here is a product of the call on the very first strike of this at-bat. Got a call on a curveball low at the knees on the outer half, and Kuma just tries to get any piece of the barrel on that pitch. Hesitant swing and a big strikeout that shifts the momentum back into Mississippi State's dugout.
Sarah Gordon with a fly ball to right. It's deep, drifting back to the track, and hauling it in is Bernie to retire the side. Aspen cheered this year, and they've turned out to support their Bulldogs.
I really think that's been a theme for programs across the country, even back the past 2 seasons. Programs breaking attendance records every single year just speaks to the growth of the sport in general. And we got ourselves a bit of a tour of this facility before the game today.
Yes,
wonderful job that they've done with the facility.
A couple of staffers were apologizing because it wasn't messy, that things just weren't perfectly in their place. I said, look, it's college kids in May, okay? This looks gorgeous and nice and clean, and the attention to detail they were a little concerned about, so we appreciate that, and we appreciate the hospitality here for us this weekend.
Beautiful facility, great fan support here throughout the entire season.
Apito with the ground ball to short. Armistead to first, one down here in the 6th. Oh, we've got some beauty shots of News Park. Yes, we got the tour
the
of the theater.
Right there.
We volunteered to do the game from that film room on that big screen TV. The locker room's sweet. It's nice. We didn't get a look at the locker room.
The film room did look very comfortable, though. The chair's almost a little too comfortable, right?
I like the air conditioning.
Yeah,
I can't lie.
that's very
true.
true.
It's been a little warm
very
here
true.
today. Here's Paige Cook with one down. Cook's been on base twice here today. Walked in the first and singled in the 4th. Bernie came on to run for her, and then we saw Bernie out in the outfield, and Cook will now head back out for the 7th inning. Second inning of work for Backus. In on the hands, a blooper to right. Kearney has it. Quickly 2 down here in the bottom half of the 6th inning. In the top of the 7th, 7, 8, and 9 for Georgia. It's going to be Chambly. Remember, Davis and Fields hit for Digby and Armistead, so we'll see if Digby and Armistead hit for themselves after being subbed out once here today. But first, it's Kylie Edwards. 0 for 1 today with a sacrifice. That's a line drive foul. I've been really impressed with the play of Edwards and Hawkins up the middle at shortstop. and at second base, and Wesolowski, the freshman catcher. Those are three critical positions, the spine of the team, and dealing with a veteran pitcher like Wesley, and they have fit right in here in the SEC.
And you think even to Sierra Sacco in center field, who's not a freshman, but new to the conference, new to this program, really new additions to this team have made an immediate impact in their season.
That's a blooper out to right, and it's a base hit for the freshman with 2 down.
Plus, you know, I love some good defense, too. And those
That's
two
why
up the
I brought
middle
it up,
between
honestly, yeah.
Edwards and Hawkins. Game 1, right, there was the diving play up the middle by Edwards and the flip over to second base for the great double play. Just little things like that that can really spark your team and spark your offense. Oftentimes I find that when you make those great defensive plays, immediately when you come up to the plate, you still have all of that energy buzzing from the play that was made defensively.
Here is Wesolowski, 0 for 2 today. For Edwards, that was her second hit of the series. Mississippi State trying to add on a run here for a little insurance here in the 6th. That's a ball. First pitch to the freshman. That's out of play. Samantha Ricketts paid big-time compliment to her freshman catcher, comparing her to the one and only Mia Davidson and how she catches behind the plate. You're not going to catch her in the home run department. Please don't take offense. But just how she works behind the plate as a freshman catcher in the SEC.
The SEC home run queen herself, Mia Davidson. But Coach Ricketts was really impressed with the way that Wesolowski composes herself back behind the plate and her framing in particular, and the way that she's able to handle a variety of different pitchers on their staff. And I think you've even seen a couple of close calls that she's been able to get today with Aspen Wesley in the circle just because of how strong that arm is when she goes out to frame those pitches.
Working at the plate here and evening the count at 2-2 against Bacchus. Mississippi State's runs came in the first inning. A 2-out, 2-run home run off the bat of Madalasi Fa'apito. Georgia scored in the top half of the 5th on a Jaden Fields RBI single. The pop-up left side of the infield, Mosley into foul ground to retire the side. Last on the line here as we head to the top half of the 7th inning. I would not have predicted, as Aspen Wesley gets set to throw her first pitch in the 7th inning, that at this point in Game 3 of the series in the 7th inning, there would be a combined 10 runs between these two teams. But that's where we are right now because Wesley has given up just 1 run in her 13 innings of work.
And we've seen such a low run total because Aspen Wesley's been just dominant in the circle and so efficient in how she's been able to throw strikes so consistently too. She's thrown so far in this series 197 pitches, 130 of them have been strikes. And yes, I included those last 2, my math sometimes is there. Over a 65% strike clip so far in these 2 games combined. Just keeps you on your heels, it feels like, offensively all game long.
There's that changeup, swung on and missed. Chambly retired. Strikeout number 7 for Aspen Wesley, 1 away.
Such a good off-speed pitch, and the way that it tails and breaks away from the left-handed bats. This one's got a little bit of down bite to it as well. We've seen a couple of varieties of off-speeds for her, one that'll come up in the zone, the other one that drops down in the zone. Absolute filth that we've seen out of the hand of Wesley in the 2 games that she's thrown this weekend.
And it's just working ahead, Maddie. 25 batters faced, 18 first pitch strikes to those 25 batters. And the next batter she faces will be a pinch hitter as Marissa Miller, sophomore, will step in here with the bases empty and 1 out in the 7th. Ball 1.
And the fact that she's staying around the zone too. That one doesn't go down as a first pitch strike, but it's just inches away from that strike zone. So every single thing that she's throwing out of your hand as a batter, you're thinking about swinging at it because of just how close she's located to that zone.
2-0 to Miller. Miller on the season, 2 for 20 at the plate. Two and one. Two and two.
Pitches like that, just when you think she's going to go back-to-back with curveballs, the pitch that she threw to get the strike before goes back with this screwball, moving in the completely opposite direction.
Hooking foul.
And we've talked about the new additions for Mississippi State on the field that you're seeing, but a new addition to the coaching staff too. I think when you look at the success that Aspen Wesley and Josie Marin have had so far this season, pitching coach Taryn Mowat-McKinney over in that dugout has done a phenomenal job with these pitchers throughout the season. Calling the game too over from the dugout.
This is a fly ball to the center fielder. Sacco, 2 down. Aspen Wesley, according to her head coach Samantha Ricketts, the 7th inning against Missouri after her teammates had fought off and fought back to go in front in the 7th, that she had that look in her eye that they saw at Tallahassee in the NCAAs a couple years ago. Would not be denied, and she has kept that look Friday in game 1 and now today in game 3. Strike 1 to Armistead with 2 down here in the 7th. One and one. Appeal, she checked her swing. Armistead 0 for 1, flied out to left, back in the 3rd. One and two. And Club News will make some noise.
Goes back again, off-speed pitch. Armistead way out in front on this swing. Look at the arm side run that she's got on the off-speed as well.
Called strike 3. Aspen Wesley delivers again, and Mississippi State wins the series. weekend here in Starkville. Baseball team over at the Dude taking on Alabama this weekend. There's ball 1 to Briley St. Clair, number 9 hitter. Back to the pitcher, Walters has to eat it. St. Clair's aboard with 2 down here in the second.
Watching that bunt come off of Briley St. Clair's bat straight to Shelby Walters, I thought she was going to have a play at first on this one. Sydney Kuma gets over there in plenty of time. I'm wondering if maybe she just didn't have a good grip on the softball, not even attempt to throw over to first base. Now you've got the top of the order coming back up with a runner on board.
Third hit for Mississippi State, and here is Sacco, who started things off last inning with a single and scored on the Pito 2-run homer. Strike 1.
I'm wondering why she didn't throw the ball over to first base. Looks like she didn't bobble it there. I didn't see a bobble. Maybe just didn't think she was going to get her out over at first. Definitely would have been close.
1-1 now to Sacco. Sacco had 2 hits in that Mizzou win, snapped an 0 for 14 skid. And the count 2-1 here in the second inning. Deciding game of the series between Georgia and Mississippi State. Grounded to second, waiting on it. At second base is Kuma on the Digby to retire the side. 2 innings in the book.